Hey, Husky fans, welcome back to another edition of Huskies Quarantine Conversation. My name is Nick Spiliopoulos, and joining me today is head coach of the men's hockey team, Brett Larson. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Nick. How you doing?
Times are certainly different, but hanging in there, finished the semester strong. And how about yourself? What has life been like in quarantine?
Well, obviously, like you said, it's different times, and there's certainly some negatives and some positives, I guess. Number one, hopefully people stay healthy and safe wherever they are. And positive side is getting to spend a lot more time with my family than I ever would have dreamed of this time of year. Usually we're out doing quite a bit of recruiting and hitting the road, but getting a lot of family time in, a lot of hikes, a lot of walks, getting out on the golf course a little bit with the kids. So some positives too.
What are some of your favorite things to do with your kids around the city of St. Cloud?
Well, my favorite and their favorite sometimes are two different. The quarantine thing here, we've been doing a lot of hikes. We've been taking them to Beaver Island Trail. We've been taking them to Quarry Park. We've taken them down to Warner Park, a few other places. And this Sunday, my son looked at me and said, "Dad, not another hike again. Are we really?" I said, "Yes, we're going for another one." So we've been doing that quite a bit, just getting them outside as much as we can with the weather getting a little bit nicer. And my son and daughter both took golf lessons last year, so we're trying to do a little bit of that, get out on the golf course, get outside as much as we can. And other than that, just a lot of playing in the yard, getting some baseball in and whatnot there. But a lot of just, to be honest, just meals together, being together, and life has certainly slowed down a little bit.
Well, and it's always great when you can find the positives in such trying times like these. And, I think that's the easiest way for anybody to get through this is, yes, you can see the negatives, but at the same time, you have to focus and hone in on those positives to get you through.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we just had somebody talking to our team about mental health on a Zoom call. And I really liked his phrase. He said, "Yes, we want a physical distance, but we don't want a social distance." We're using the wrong word there. And I think the more we can feel connected, whether it be through mediums like this, through Zoom, just getting out for walks with people, being outdoors with people, doing things that we can do to stay connected with people. We want a physical distance. We don't want a social distance. We want to make sure that we're keeping those connections close. I think it's important to all of us. And boy, you just realize the little things you miss, like going to a coffee shop and meeting somebody for a coffee and just talking. You realize how important those things are. So maybe it's also showing us all that sometimes you overlook the little things in life that you really appreciate.
When you talked about, it was a team meeting via Zoom, what were some of the positives that you liked about last season?
Growth. That would probably be the number one word, would be growth. You think about it, we knew what we were getting into when you lose a class like we lost, and not only the class, but you lose Ryan Paling and you lose Blake Lazat. And Blake actually just spoke on our team meeting right now a couple hours ago. But you lose that type of class that had won 60-some games in 2 years and arguably was one of the best teams in college hockey for a couple of years, that you don't replace that overnight. And just the growth, starting with our leadership and the captains who held that team together when we won 2 of our first 12 games and stuck with it to turn into a team that we felt could beat anybody down the stretch. And the disappointing thing with that growth is we never got to see the results of that. We never got to see what that team could do with a fresh slate in the playoffs and take everything they learned and all their growth and put it into action in a playoff series. So obviously would have loved to have them have the chance to do that. But the one thing about college hockey and the one thing what we're going through right now is we all realize we're in the same boat. We're all in this thing together. So hard to complain about it when everybody else is going through the same thing.
And, as much as you can try and focus on, the future, it's still uncertain, but, what are some things that are exciting you about the 2020-21 season?
Well, obviously we're planning just like we would any year. Obviously our spring and summer training is a little bit different without the students on campus right now, but we're looking forward to having the team come back in August as they always have. We're trying to stay positive and plan that there's going to be school this year. There's going to be hockey this year until we hear different or know different. And right now we're preparing with our off-ice training. We're doing some nutrition training, some sleep training, different things like that to try to prepare best we can off the ice. We're bringing in speakers to the Zoom calls. We had Brett Hedican come on a couple weeks ago and talk about the Stanley Cup winning culture when he was in Carolina and his experiences. We had Blake Lizotte speak today about his first year experiences and what he learned in the NHL. We had a mental health professional come on and talk about depression and anxiety and some of the things people are going through right now, feeling isolated. So basically, we're trying to develop and build our team in the off season just like we would any other time. We're just doing a lot of it virtually now.
And, you kind of hinted on it, every new season you bring in new freshmen. What excites you about this freshman class coming in this year?
Well, a couple things. One, I think they're going to be joining a group that throughout the course of the year found an identity of how they play, and they realized how hard it is to win in this league. We had 16 freshmen and sophomores, and I think they grew a lot through those experiences, watching the Jackashans and the Palings and kids like that lead the way. But they're going to come into a group that's got an identity, which is exciting. And not only that, they're going to come in with a team that I think's got some of the most depth in goaltending in the league. David Rennick coming back is a huge piece. Jackson and Joey pushed him last year, and he knows they're going to push him again this year, so that's a nice problem. Obviously, losing Jack and Clark on D hurt, but we have a huge core back, and we're adding some really nice pieces. You look at Brady Zemer, who's done a really good job in the USHL. I think he's a lot like a throwback. He's a lot like a John Lizotte to compare to the fans of what he might bring. And then picking up Seamus Donahue on the grad transfer portal, and a kid that was a captain at Michigan Tech and one of their top defensemen to come in and give us a two-way player who can bring depth to that lineup is huge. So, that's nice. And then obviously brought in, some great forwards with Joe Molinar and Miettinen coming over from Finland, who just broke their scoring record in that junior league, and Jack Johnson, a two-time captain up in Fairbanks. And geez, I hope I'm not leaving anybody else out off the top of my head. But you know what? Those guys are really good players. So I'm excited about the class. Oh, and Jared Cockrell, another grad transfer. You forget those grad transfers are coming in. They're going to be seniors. They're not really going to be freshmen, but they are still part of that class. But he's a forward that we think can play a lot like a Nick or Jack Paling, a really hard, skilled two-way forward that plays the game the right way with a lot of intensity. So really excited about him too.
And, you mentioned it, grad transfers, two of them coming in this upcoming season, something St. Cloud hasn't seen a ton of in the past. What can you kind of explain, what that process will be like for them?
It's something that's kind of becoming new in college hockey. It's building, and it's built the last few years. And it's a little bit of it's because of, players playing junior hockey for 1 to 2 years after high school in a lot of cases. And when they do now, a lot of them are smart and they're taking college classes while they're there. So what happens is a lot of these guys can graduate after their junior year. If you graduate after your junior year and you're in good standing, you still have a year of eligibility left and you can transfer without having to sit out. So it's kind of grown the last few years. We've always been watching the portal, always looking for the right players if they come available. And this year, it was just a perfect fit to get those two. They're going to bring in some leadership and some experience. They're going to bring some things that we really wanted to have part of the team as far as some maturity and how they play and fill in some holes that we needed. So those guys were just a couple great pickups for us to round out the team for next year.
Always exciting when you can kind of secure someone from the portal and bring them into your team in the next year. But as you look at next season's schedule, it's a tough one, like it always is in college hockey. But are there any series in your mind that stick out to you as important ones or favorite ones that you can look at so far?
You know what, as a coach, it's really hard to answer that question just because the most important one is the first one, and then the next most important one's the next one, and it's, you look back to last season and what the fans know and what we know too is how important those early games are. A tie and a loss at home to Princeton, you turn that into a couple wins and all of a sudden we're a top probably 18 team again, maybe even higher than that. Those two games, how much they can hurt you. And, so every series is so important, every one. And yeah, we have teams that were all rated really highly last year, which I think was great motivation. We're going to be playing the Mankato's and the Arizona States, just to name a few. And that's a good thing. I think playing some highly rated, really good teams early is going to be a good test to see where this team is early, and I'm hoping we can get some more wins and losses out of those games to put us in a good spot in the fairway.
Well, thanks, Coach, for your time today. That wraps up the other edition of Husky Quarantine Conversation. Thanks again, Coach, for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.